Yeah, that movie. God, that was a big one. It was like
Huge.
that, Men in Black, and Rush Hour are probably the 3 biggest media events of my childhood.
Wow. See, and for me, that shit was like Star Wars Episode 1.
What?
Oof.
That was,
Oof, not a great start.
I know.
No.
And that's how the rest of my life is gone. It's been that. It was like that, 9/11.
9/11 the movie.
Rain Over Me, the 9/11 movie starring Don Cheadle.
The government growing babies. Microchips in your anus. All koala bears are racist. The ozone layer owes me money. Martians invented turkey stuffing. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Ting-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring, knife on fork, a fight fit dumpling. This is My Momma Told Me.
The podcast where we dive deep into the pockets of black conspiracy theories.
And we finally worked to prove that Lil' Kim was, in fact, the original inspiration for the Black Little Mermaid movie when she came to the MTV Awards in that purple outfit with her one titty out. We all remembered it. Pay that woman her money, Disney.
God damn. That you're onto something now.
Come on, it's the same outfit.
Yeah, they wasn't putting pasties on titties before Lil' Kim decided to do it.
That was the titty heard around the world.
And what sound did it make, Bori? What sound?
When Diana Ross shook it. You all remember Diana Ross shaking that titty.
We all remember Diana Ross shaking that titty.
That was a big day for me. I'm David Bori.
I'm Langston Kerman, and I am, I didn't know what sound the titty made, but I do now, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that was not as good as I wanted it to sound.
Buddy, I don't like that you're even regretting a second of it. It was phenomenal. I couldn't be prouder of you. I think to even show doubt in this moment is merely your insecurity and not a reflection of how good it was.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
That was good.
Our guest today, our guest today, he might have different opinions on what a titty is meant to sound like. I'm not sure. We've never talked about this, but we've spent quite a bit of time together. He's a hilarious comedian. He's so fucking funny. You know him as a writer for Conan. You know him from Comedy Central. You know him as one of the brilliant minds behind The Onion. He's so fucking great. I love him so much. Give it up for Skyler Higley.
Hey, all right. Hey. I think a titty can make any sound you want it to make. I would have accepted any sound. If you had been like, boo whip, I would have been like, yeah, yeah, that's the titty sound. Also, to me, the titty heard around the world was Janet Jackson's titty. I remember that. That was like the titty I saw with my parents, and they were like horrified. I mean, that might have been my first titty, actually. Whoa.
That was a big, whoa, okay. That was a big titty.
That was a big titty. More metaphorically, I think. It's an average. It's an average titty in real life.
I don't think you should play out Janet's titties like that.
Whoa. Big fan. Big fan.
She's a good size. Janet got big titties.
You think Janet has big titties?
I don't think she has little titties.
I think the respect I have for them looms large.
Yes, I think that I hold Janet's titties in a big place in my heart.
I hold Janet's titties like that famous poster.
But if you remember that poster, there wasn't a lot spilling out on the other side. Those titties were nicely cupped inside that 5'11" man's hands.
And listen, all titties matter. You know what I'm saying? So like,
that's true.
Boy, am I not disparaging those titties. I'd love to see them then. I'd love to see them today.
Janet, email me if you're listening. Hit me up. I'm on Twitter.
Yo, what if Janet emailed you a nude from like a Yahoo account?
Whoa.
JanetJackson@yahoo.com.
Like a Black Planet.
Janet Jackson. She couldn't get the original.
No. Somebody snapped that up early.
Yeah. Skyler, you came to us today with a conspiracy theory that I think we were surprised to not have fully covered on this podcast. We've, I think, dug into it slightly in a mini episode, but never had like a full conversation about it. But you said, my mama told me.
White people are aliens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell us everything
let's open it wide up.
Well, here's the thing,
know.
right? What do? They colonize. They oppress. They come in. The sun hurts them. The sun. The regular sun. Why is the sun hurting you? This is a planet. All the life that we have on this planet comes from the sun. The plants eat the sun with their chlorophyll. And then the animals eat the plants, and we eat it.
Yeah,
Vitamin D is good.
You stuttered a little bit, but you got it.
Well, because I was trying to think of the process of when plants be eaten. Photosynthesis. Yes. I forgot that word, and I wanted to sound smart, but I realized I forgot a word while I was trying to sound smart. Point being,
no, but you found a better word, the one that we don't all know. So you're nailing it. Keep going.
But then they get like burned in the sun, and I know we all do, but them like very easily. And, and it's also, I just think it's suspicious how a lot of other cultures have in many ways learned to live harmoniously and relatively where they were at. Yeah, there was there was different conquests and conquering and stuff, but the one race that globally did it everywhere, whites, Caucasoids,
Yeah, I mean they got boats and went crazy.
Right. So there's that. It just seems like they're on some alien shit a little bit. Like, why don't you know how to live with everybody else?
Yeah,
right.
You're saying that their inability to function with a sort of symbiotic relationship, the way that every other race has figured out, is enough evidence that they ain't necessarily from here.
Yeah.
There's no this is gonna, there's no white bush people.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Indigenous people from anywhere is they're all dark. So where did all this light skin come from?
They haven't found an unknown white tribe roaming the tundra. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's no white group of white people we found them living the same way they were living 20,000 years ago.
Yeah. They seem to have mostly popped up with not only sort of finished evolution, but also malicious evolution, right?
Yes.
There's no, like you said, there's no sort of neutral lifestyle to the way that the white people live. It's always in fucking gear V for violence type shit.
Yeah, it's always gotta be on that assimilate and destroy hive mind kind of shit. So it's suspicious to say the very least.
Okay. I love where this is going. I think the question I immediately have is, do you have a sense or frankly, maybe this is even jumping the gun a little bit, but do you have a feeling of where they might in fact be from? Has that ever been a part of the conversation, or are you just y'all ain't from here, that's all I know?
I don't know. I just feel bro, Carl Sagan even said, bro, he was oh, we're from the star. Carl Sagan said it out loud. He was talking about the elements and stars make up the human body. No, I think he was saying, actually, us white people aren't from the planet Earth. I think that anywhere that they are from, we know the planets in this solar system otherwise aren't habitable. So it's got to be outside of the solar system. We still don't know, but...
And I think that's such a tough question because, anytime you see a foreigner, you're like, I don't know where he's from, but I know he's not from here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got that goofy Dutch look in his eyes, and I don't know if he's from there, but I can see that goofy shit in his face.
I know your grandparents don't live up the street.
Right.
That's what I.
And you know what? Speaking of that goofy shit, like all of their culture seems kind of alienish too. Like Dutch, and they're like making like cuckoo clocks and stuff, and their languages.
Yeah,
You know what I
wooden
mean?
shoes.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah,
How'd you even get there?
A windmill?
that's not even the comfiest thing.
You know those windmills were like based on their like spaceships or something, like deep in the recesses of their minds. You know what I mean?
Right, they're trying to get back. Do you think they're being called home, and that's why they're trying to ultimately make this planet uninhabitable? Because somewhere deep down they're programmed to go back home.
Whoa. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that okay, they are getting this fucking like page from home,
Right.
and the only way they feel able to escape this planet is by destroying it?
I mean, that's what they've been doing the whole time anyways, right?
Sure.
That's true. That's another very solid.
There had to be an end game of some sort, right?
I think there was a plan in place, and I think they populated much more than they know. So I think that like with ants, where like there is a plan, but they don't consciously know about it, but it's like subconscious, and they're like acting that out. I think that's a lot of what they're doing. That's why it's like we gotta advance tech and kill the environment. Like it's all the same thing. I don't know about being called home though. I think that it's more of like white people might be a space virus.
Whoa.
Ooh, like the board.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know about that.
Come on, man. You can admit that you're a fucking dork. It's okay. You
I
ain't
like
gotta
that. I like that Star Trek First Contact movie a lot.
I've never seen it.
I saw it in theaters. It's pretty good. Anyways,
I'll be honest, I've never watched any Star Trek movies really ever.
Not even the new
You
one.
didn't see that Benedict Cumberbatch shit where he came in, fucked him up?
No, I think maybe I saw the first of the new run with what's the handsome guy's name? Chris
Tucker.
Yeah, Chris Tucker.
Yo, a Chris Tucker?
Yo.
A Chris Tucker Star Trek, though? Come on, man.
What are you doing on my ship, man? Beat me up, Scotty.
That's
Yo, we
some
got
movie I need to see, bro. I still want to see The Fifth Element too.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wasn't he was what, president in that shit or something silly?
Debo was president.
Right. That's
Yeah,
right. He was just like a celebrity.
Yeah,
type.
he's like a radio DJ type of situation.
Yeah. Yeah, he could be president in the second one, though.
Why not? No,
Yeah,
why not?
Give it to him.
I want him to have
It's very
everything. We need to.
realistic to what Earth has become.
Presidency has clearly jumped the shark. You know what I'm saying?
We're not going to
Like, we
get
could
it
let
better.
anybody go. Yeah, we could let anybody do it now.
It's true. That's true.
So I guess the question I immediately have, well, rather the question that I think should be a starting point in this conversation is, where did this come from for you? Was this something that you heard or were you given this as a theory to latch onto, or is this something you built completely of your own observations?
I think that, no, this has definitely come from, I think like with friends, where I think it first germinated when I'd be like talking to some friends about like complaining about some like weird, like, you know, racist shit or something. And, you know, there will just be something that happens where it's just like, why do you act like that? Like, why are they acting like that? Like, you know, you'll have those like small moments that it'll be like, I guess now we commonly call them microaggressions or whatever, but it'd just be like, oh, but like, why do they do that? Like, why are they so tricky? Why are they so untrustworthy? Something like that.
Tricky is
You know what I mean?
Tricky and sneaky are two loaded words.
Yeah.
But they are, though.
You got to be real careful which races you use those words.
Oh, no,
with
okay.
and around.
All right, that's fair. I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying any type of...
Oh, Oh, we used it all the time on this podcast. I'm just making you aware.
Sure.
Yeah,
there was
for your own sake.
There was
We're
an
already too
edge
far
that
gone.
could have gotten close to it, but like, no Kanye. I'll say that on any of this, no Kanye. I'm not. But I'm saying they, and we know who they are.
Jennifer Aniston, if you're listening, they is not who you think it is. I think
It's just definitionally it can include, but it's not about who you're trying to.
Sure.
It's a very broad.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is, so that's where it started, I guess, and then the wrinkle of just like how you get so sunburnt so easily. Like how does that? We've been on the earth for so long, and so you were just supposed to stay like in the areas of like, what are y'all, bacteria? Like, why do you need to stay where there's not sun?
It seems like a deficiency at this point.
But how, and so with that
Like,
deficiency to the biosphere, then how having such a deficiency, like physically, then how you come to be like worldwide conquerors? That's alien shit.
Well, here's a question that I have, and I don't want you guys to get crazy at me for not knowing. How do Asians do in the sun?
I don't think very well. I've spent a little bit of time in Asia, both in China and in Japan, and they be walking around with like umbrellas
That's what I thought.
to protect themselves. Now, I will say that some of that also, I don't think is necessarily their skin being burned as often as you would think, but more of them not wanting to tan because paler skin is sort of like treated as like a fucking amenity. It's like a cool thing to have your skin be pale out there. So I don't necessarily know that it's 100% that like they don't handle it great, but I don't think they handle it great. I think like in general they get burned. You know what I mean?
But I've seen some pretty dark-skinned Asians, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Right.
Yeah. I think they run the gamut similar to what a lot of countries try to keep hush-hush in their reflections of like what their people look like.
I mean, if you notice, a lot of those K-pop guys, light-skinned, similar to our R&B.
Yeah. Very much so. Those
They're
K-pop
taking everything
guys,
from us.
they look like porcelain though. Those K-pop. Look, I'm not trying to be. They're like, they got something very specific going on there with their whole like aesthetic, where they like, because they like train for like certain things, so they also like aesthetically go for like, right? Aren't they trying to be like the whitest that they can?
Yeah, I think they're a tough measure of anything because my understanding is that they make those boys like train in like facilities for years to be able to earn the spot on one of these K-pop.
I mean, they're like
groups.
They're like modern.
To be
Spartans.
fair, what was Joe Jackson's house?
Yeah, 100%.
So Michael,
but he only had 5 boys.
But we're saying that like Michael was the original Jungkook or whatever his name is.
I hope that was the right name. Otherwise,
I think that's his name,
buddy. If that's how you pronounce it, good for you.
Hey, please don't.
That's not what I've been saying in my head. But
or in our text thread.
But no, I do think, to your point, that it's hard to know specifically why white people have such a challenging relationship with the sun when everyone else at least has a more moderate relationship with the sun, right? That like they are the only ones that are truly like when the fucking sun comes out, and everybody else at least is managing it slightly.
And like fair-skinned people like bruise easy and stuff like that. Like it's very like it's not only like the sun, but like, you know, like physical, like 3D reality. I don't know, like different relationships with like our natural world. It feels like where it just feels like more separated from it.
Right.
Their teeth don't grow right, you know. Like,
Wait,
okay, now
like British people, you know what I'm saying? Like the British people's teeth don't come in.
Okay, we
right.
gotta be specific. You gotta be clear when you start that sentence because it sounded as if you were like white people across the board.
I'm making
Their
a
teeth
lot
don't
of
grow in right.
really. I mean, this conspiracy I think is the most like racist I would be because I'm making a lot of broad statements today.
No,
and brother, we
we're
thank
in
you.
there. We're in there deep. We're in there deep. Because here's here's what I don't understand about all this, and I think this is a decent point, is that because it's supposed to be some type of an adaptation, right? Their skin becoming white.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, then how did they were maladapted? That almost makes you think like that seems like some type of species that didn't continue, like how like we were better than the Neanderthals or whatever. Like, why would it have adapted so poorly? Does that make sense? Am I saying it right?
No, I get what you're saying. It's like a trait that, as far as we understand, like natural selection and evolution works, like a trait that should have been selected out of. But then why was it a trait that like kept going forward?
Yeah, how did it keep going if it was when was that ever an advantage? When and where was that ever an advantage?
Yeah, and I do think to your point, there's a sort of like a parasitic quality to that, right? Skyler, about how you were saying they're a parasite from space, essentially. Like that is how parasites work, right? That like they have a bunch of disadvantages built into their fucking biochemistry, but they attach on to other things to basically thwart those disadvantages, to overcome them. And in that way, it does feel like white skin sort of lives in that space of being like, yeah, all right, we fucked up, but we'll eat you to make sure that we are able to overcome our shitty skin in its relationship to
and
the
then
sun.
what
Like we fucked up, but we'll invent the bureaucracy. Now what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I think you need to do in those situations is that overcompensation with like white supremacy and like eugenics and stuff being like, oh yeah, like we're like this because we're the best. Like lighter skin is better. Like our skulls are the best ones. We're more intellectual because you're like coming up with ways to justify like, no. We're not like, weird or, quote unquote worse in any way. We're actually like the supreme. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We all do it. Short King season. You know, where did that come from?
Exactly.
Come on, man. Ain't no reason y'all should believe you're winning, and yet everywhere I turn on the internet, there's some short motherfucker being like, God is great.
Another beautiful day being 5'4". I love it. I love my little step ladder that I gotta climb onto to reach the cabinet. It's beautiful. I love blessed.
Swinging my legs off a chair.
Oh, I am so close to the ground.
Look at you idiots touching the earth when you sit down.
Such a low center of gravity.
When I was in college, there was, remember when Facebook groups were a thing? Skyler, you probably don't remember this, but there was an era where Facebook groups were like very popular and you used to have to like ask for permission to join cool groups so that you could be up on private conversations, whatever the fuck. And there was a group at college called God is a Fair Man that was dedicated to black men who are under 5'8" because it was like, oh, we're all gorgeous and fucking sexy, but God is fair. So he had to make us short.
So
it's like, oh,
I don't love that. That's the cutoff.
So it's just a bunch of short dudes hyping each other up.
I liked it when we were talking about five guys. Now you're kind of getting into my waters. You know what? Fuck you guys. White people have been here the whole time.
All right, we need to take a break. We're going to be back with more Skyler Higley and more My Momma Told Me.
Oh my gosh, the cat. Get the cat out of here. Oh, absolutely not. Cat, you got to go.
And white people, you also got to go because you are aliens. We are back with Skyler Higley discussing the possibility of maybe Caucasians are from out of this planet.
Yeah. Skyler, I do think it's worth mentioning that you grew up in a household with white parents. Was this something you had thought about during that experience? Were you like looking at them as an alien source, or was this a more amicable relationship at the time?
I mean, we want to think about it now.
Oh, no.
Adopted, abducted, it's right there. It's right there.
Come on.
Yep, like I could be.
You can't spell one without the other, roughly.
They're similar. I didn't even think about that till this moment, but it's like right there. Like maybe I am the one who got taken up into the like their, metaphorical ship, and now I'm coming back talking crazy. But it's part of it. So to answer your question directly, relatively amicable then. I wasn't, but I just think in retrospect, because I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah and all this stuff, when I think about what the experience is, what was there in if you're ever in an all white place versus going outside of that, you would think that based on what even the culture was relative to everywhere else, I could be like, oh yeah, I could see how those people are actually aliens and people who are pretending to be people,
And it does feel to that point like Salt Lake City is them attempting to recreate a planet that doesn't quite exist on this earth. You know what I mean? Where they're like, no, we're going to make a world that's real specific to shit we like and no one else is going to ever want to be a part of it.
Yeah, that was
And also, it's bad. They're bad at it, right? You pick the dumbest place to make a big, giant town.
Yeah, big old
The Great Salt Flats?
Yeah.
Idiots?
Yeah.
None of those things are good about the world. Salt? Flat?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but that is what they chose, and
they said
that's fascinating.
They showed up there, and the prophet guy, the Mormon church, was like, "This is the place. This is what God set aside for us, middle of the desert.
Yeah.
God set this aside. This is what it's got to be." No, come on, no.
Yeah,
he
if
was
that's
like,
the case, God's kind of a deadbeat dad.
Very much so.
He was like, "Hey, y'all, I just checked my bank account, and it looks like we're staying here." I think this is actually the best place, turns out, according to the amount of money I have left.
Also, I'm realizing, bringing it up now, Mormonism involves, alien shit. That's, part of...
Whoa.
That's,
Come on.
That's, part of it where, after you die, if you were, a real good person and go to, the top heaven, there's 3 heavens, they're ranked.
Thank God.
You got junior varsity and varsity and all this shit. But
is the bottom heaven the worst one? Is it tiered like that?
Yeah, it's tiered like that. It's oh, this one's kind of good. This one's, But then if you go to the top one and you keep advancing, you get to have your own planet, get to be a god of your own planet, because our God is somebody who's gone through that process. So it's the same way, it's a germination of this repeating process. The whole cosmology is based on this thing going out through the universe, which is also just, same alien shit.
Yeah, that's fucking intense, because I think most Judeo-Christian fucking Judeo-Christian
No, you were right. Don't doubt yourself.
Most karate Christians don't fuck around with space, at least in the pitch, right? They're sort of nah, God is above us. Space don't really matter. He just is always above however you see that. But for y'all to be nah, there are planets out there. You get to keep one if you're good enough.
And they even say
that's spooky shit.
There was even a point where they named... Oh, I'm trying to remember the name of the planet, but they'll be God is out there in space on a specific planet. I think it's called Kolob is the planet, in the thing.
I was going to guess White Jupiter.
White Jupiter, Caucasian Venus, whatever. Yeah, it's like
Honky Mars.
One day, Honky Mars can be yours. Eat your vegetables if you want your taste of Honky Mars.
don't curse, or you can't go to Honky Mars.
You're gonna go to light skinned Pluto, and that sucks.
Yeah. Or Coon Venus.
Don't go to Asian Saturn. That's scary.
Hey, we can't say those on here.
Hey man, that's what they're saying. We're doing the character. It's fine.
We're in character.
I'm not saying. I would love to go to Asian Saturn.
Skyler, I have a few pieces of research that I'd love to run your way and get your thoughts on. Although this Mormon sort of like space shit is something that I had not considered in some of the reading that I did. But one of the first things that I sort of found, and this is something I think we've talked about on the podcast, but even the reference to Caucasians is a false reference. That like Caucasians do not in fact, what we call Caucasians, white people, do not in fact come from the Caucasus Mountains that the name originates from. The Caucasus Mountains, as if I'm understanding correctly, are comprised of Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan, and the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea are also a part of this region. And the Caucasus, the white people did not actually originate there. In fact, they supposedly, the human race didn't actually move over there until about 50,000 years ago, right? But part of the reason that we refer to white people as Caucasians is because of this old-ass German scientist, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach.
Oh, that's a bad guy.
Yeah, no, buddy, wait till you hear what he's got to say about things. Who in 1795 decided the human species needed to be separated into 5 races: Caucasian, which was the white race; Mongolian, the yellow race; Malayan, which was the brown race; Ethiopian, the black race; and American, the red race. So the motherfucker was woke at least enough to know that Native Americans...
We're going to kill you and fuck your women. Sounds wholesome.
So he was like, and did he have it? Is it like, I'm imagining whatever like chart he has is like a pyramid, and like the white race is on the top, and he's like, buddy, all right, now here's
absolutely.
Yeah. White people are where sweets and oils were.
He said he considered the Caucasus Mountains the origin of Caucasian people because they were he thought of them as the first race on Earth, which he chose the Caucasus Mountains because it was consistent with, I guess, old science that suggested that was the place of human origin. And the Bible describes Noah landing his ark at a place called Mount Ararat. I don't know how to say this. Ararat, there you go, which was thought by Europeans of Blumenbach's time to be on the modern Turkish-Armenian border. So he just basically was like, yo, if that's where we're saying the original people are from, then that's where white people are from, and therefore we are these people. And then public discourse made it so. You know what I mean? They became Caucasians because they spread that rumor.
Wow.
You see how they just be failing upwards?
Exactly.
That's on government forums now.
Yeah. It's the most technical way that we refer to them, and it's not even
completely
true.
Incorrect. Because the Johann Friedrich, whatever his name is a fucking alien op. Like, I feel like he's one of the ones that like knew and remembered, and he's like, yeah, I gotta put this stuff I've gotta like separate it all out, and then we're gonna tell them we're from the mountains because we're not supposed to be here at all. And then if somebody's like, where are you from? We're like, it's the fucking Caucasus Mountains. Like, duh, nigga, like I told you. Yeah. Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Here's something that's even more fascinating. Recent studies, and we talked about this actually on the Zach Fox episode where we talk about the legend of Yaqub. And Yaqub, if you're unfamiliar, is believed to be an ancient scientist who created white people on basically an island and forced them to germinate until we got to the white race. He was an evil, big-headed black scientist that made white people. That said, we talked about this previously, but Europe looked almost nothing like the Eurocentric features we now associate with white people. Europeans today, and that whiteness, in fact, is only believed to be about 8,000 years old.
See?
Wow.
Come on.
And so they claim to be like the...
I actually am 1.4% Nigerian African. I'm a sister, okay?
You were in the middle of a thought, but don't let that throw you off.
I'm sorry.
No, but I was still thinking like they're only that's 8,000 years old, and yet they claim like where does the claim, like the same way that science just assumedly was like the Earth is the center of the universe, like the Earth-centric model, and then it's like, oh, okay, like heliocentric happened after that. Like white people did the same thing of like the dude from the Caucasoid Mountains was like, oh, we're first. But like there was what was the evidence for being first? Was it just gut feelings? Like
just pure want and will, dog.
Yeah,
it seems like just being like, nah, I think it was bad science previously, right? Where they're like, the human species seems to have originated in this area. And then he ran with that shit and was like, well, if humans are from here, then that's where we're from. End of conversation. And frankly, human migration happened 50,000 years, 42,000 years before white people even existed into that area.
Yeah.
See, so then what happened? That's the question.
That's the big question.
How did we get these modern day whites?
Yeah. Like literally what was the thing? Where did that come from? Like there's not.
And also, what did the old school whites look like?
They were.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a few white guys who look like they're from a different time.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Ostertag comes to mind.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah. George Mirasan, that motherfucker ain't from.
Come on, that's from a long.
Now.
That's an ancient magic.
Yeah. Any big ass NBA player.
Oh,
that motherfucker looks.
Goban?
Yeah. Come on, man.
What's his name?
Fucking
Jokic?
Brad Pitt. Jokic. Well, he's a Nugget now.
David's from Denver, so you got
right. I gotta back off. Okay,
tiptoe carefully when you're talking about these sweet boys.
It's fine, but they are the NBA championships. Act accordingly. Tommy Wiseau. Yeah, that guy's from space for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think there are a few people where you look at them and you go like, that ain't exactly what we calculated it to be. And if you even think about like the regional breakdowns of some things that we qualify as white but are in fact something else, like Russia and China border each other at a certain part of their countries and shit. And if you look at the people who live in those like regions near Russia and China, they don't look like Chinese people or Russian people.
A bunch of those Stans.
All those stars.
Fucking Mila Kunis is Ukrainian, and that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like that ain't what we thought that was supposed to look like.
Mexican.
There's a bunch of weird sort of like I think if you look at the way they look, they can stand as evidence of what white people probably have bred out of their own genetic history in our most optimistic. And if we're moving in the place of your conspiracy, Skyler, then maybe this is what was originally there, and these white people are just aliens sort of usurping that space.
Right. And I'm not saying either way. I just have questions. I just question it. I think that
I just want to see the birth certificate.
Yeah,
That's
I just
all.
want to see the. Why can't we? You know, like
Yeah.
and I feel like if you even want to go on like some Bible shit, like on some biblical, you know, whatever, like human histories or whatever, like I don't know. I believe that this thought just came to mind. I believe that Eve was a white woman. She fucked some things up. I would believe that.
I don't think there was any arguing that. I think we were all on the same page.
Guys, I think this is moving against the argument.
No,
but
it's
I'm
okay. No,
listening.
you're right. Look, you're right. Sometimes a thought just comes to mind
Now
and I
we're
go,
just
that doesn't
saying-
support the argument, but
Sometimes we're just saying bad people we think we're white.
Yeah.
I think the point is, if we don't actually, I think what the most interesting part of it is it in the rhetorical argumentative sense, we don't actually have a clear view of where they came from, and yet there's been so much colonization out of that. Why of that specific genetic coil, whether or not they're from here or not, maybe not, probably not, but whether or not they're from here, why out of that then came so much, you know, what is the white impulse, I'll say, for like global colonization and oppression of so many different kinds of people, especially given that like we're not completely like aware of where they're from in the first place. Suspicious.
Yeah.
It's suspicious.
Right.
To add to that, I will say that even like sort of the idyllic white person that we now understand, right? The blonde hair, blue eyes that Hitler was so horny for, that shit, based off of research, suggests that blue eyes specifically are only about 6,000 years old and are labeled specifically as a genetic mutation. It is not sort of the standard. It is a thing that mutated out of the standard. Basically, the eyes, the pupil's inability to create melanin caused someone's eyes to turn blue, and it's believed to be a European person, but we don't know what kind of European it was, or specifically if it was a European that we now understand, but that then became a genetic mutation that carried forward, and now a bunch of people have it.
Huh. Yeah, bro. That it's suspicious because you take that and go, oh, the mutation and the newest stuff and the, you know, all of the most like uncommon traits is then like the ideal? No, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's sus in and of itself, right?
The most marketed beauty standard across the world is like the Eurocentric beauty standard, which is like the most sort of niche and least able to be replicated by most of the people in the world. Is like, that seems like somewhere else overcompensating type shit that to oppress the people that belong on this planet so that we can take it over and, you know, drain their blood for our spaceships or whatever they're trying to do.
Oh, and I will say to that point that does feel like, even if you remove the alien from this conversation, right? Which I am not. I'm merely suggesting that you could remove it and still point to the fact that there is something unhealthy, inhuman, frankly, in the way that white people have approached their own beauty standards, their own sort of like selling of the white self, right? That like you have this niche thing, and instead of recognizing that you are sort of a person needing to be a part of a larger community, you go, we will create a system where only our thing is acceptable and everything else is sort of left at the wayside, despite us being the fucking minority across the board.
And to add to that, what we have going on with beauty standards now and more recently, and this has been a thing to this point, but like the different appropriations of both culture, aesthetic, different kinds of bodies, like just trying to get like fatter asses, which is like kind of from like other different cultures or different like facial features for like this amalgamation of like the Instagram face too, which is like predicated also like mostly by white people picking and choosing things from like other cultures. Like, what is that aside from body snatching? Alien stuff. Alien stuff.
Fuck.
Damn.
Fuck.
Damn.
I'm convincing myself
I like
right
that.
now. I honestly didn't even believe it that much, but now
God damn.
I don't know.
Now we all gotta unpack it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that body snatching, that hit. That really I thought we were just doing a muse bouche, but that was a goddamn meal you just sat in front of us.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
The last thing I'll say, as far as the research is concerned, is that one of the things that made me think about is how much of our planet remains unexplored, right? Specifically, if we think about the oceans and how little we know of what came out of the oceans. And very recently, I came across a conspiracy theory, and take this with a grain of salt, but there's a person on TikTok arguing that potentially space, that we understand it, or sort of the aliens that we're worried about, are in fact maybe coming out of the oceans rather than coming out of the sky. That like, as we are sitting here worried about like these intergalactic creatures, whatever, there very well could be a bunch of creatures crawling out from the bottom of the earth. And there is an argument to be made that maybe what we're talking about is not necessarily alien in the space sense for white people, but maybe alien in the under the earth and or water sense. And that's where the debate can live.
Oh, so they came out of the sea like later than, because we all evolved from like,
hence the milky white skin. You don't need it down there.
because you're not exposed. Wow.
You don't. Come on.
Come on.
Hey,
You seen a shark's belly?
Right. I feel like they had those little.
Looks like a dude from Wisconsin.
They had those little like light things that came off their foreheads, like those little fish do. And then as soon as that shit fell off and they evolved out of that,
Yeah, they
was
got
like,
on land.
Let's get on land.
Dropped the anglerfish shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just a reporter. I don't know.
No, you're taking sides.
But it doesn't feel crazy that they may have crawled out from under the deep.
Yeah, they like it colder. I'm pretty sure it's pretty cold down there.
They like stuff.
Pretty sure.
They like
yeah,
stuff. They like
I'd
stuff.
say it's pretty chilly underwater.
I'm not an
They like
oceanographer.
bland flavors. They like bland flavors. It's bland down
Yeah.
there. It's not spicy down there.
And if we really want to take this a step further, it could also be the reason why they're not that afraid of the sea levels rising as they should be. Right? The planet's
They're
getting
coming back
hotter. The
home.
sea levels are rising. They're like, that's cool,
And
bro.
that's some
We gonna be
anti-black
down
shit
there in a
too,
minute.
because they're trying to drown us because they think we can't swim.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Don't stop.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just facts. I really think that
It's just facts.
I really think that it is just facts. I'm not even. I think that it could be from space, from the sea. I'm honestly pretty convinced by the sea one too, but that's what they're trying to do, man. Why destroy the Earth so much if you really from here?
Damn.
Yeah.
It's if when you break it down that simply, white people who listen to the show, if you have a counter argument, we welcome it. We really would love to hear whatever you have to say. But keep in mind, Skyler put some shit down that you're gonna have a lot of trouble refuting at this point.
Also, know the tone that I'm going to read in your email. Going to be very condescending, regardless of how good the stats are. I read at university.
My Nona said that we.
That sounds like an alien already. That sounds like an alien's voice.
It does sound like the Martian from Looney Tunes.
Well, Skyler, I think we did it.
We got it.
I think
Something got done.
something got done, and certainly you did it. Could you tell the people where they could find you and what cool shit you have going on?
I am on Twitter at Skyler Higley, on Instagram at Skyler Higley again. Just type in my name, SkylerHigley. You'll find me. What I got going on, I'm doing shows. I'm about to be in Austin on the 22nd of September. If you would like to come out to Cap City Comedy Club, about to be in Austin.
Hey.
And, that's it. Look at my TikToks and my Instagrams and my Twitters.
Fuck yeah. Bori, you want to tell the people where they can find you?
bringdavidaplate.com. I am currently in the midst of my aluminum foil tour. I'm going all over the place. I think that we have the Denver shows coming up, and then after that, after this comes out, Minneapolis, Columbus, Cincinnati, fucking Morgantown, West Virginia. I got some stuff. Go to bringdavidaplate.com. New York City, I got some good stuff on there. Bringdavidaplate.com. Come out. Buy some of the merch. People have been buying it. They've been loving it. All that good stuff at My Momma Told Me pod. Subscribe on YouTube, but maybe slow it down a little bit.
Bori's a little worried that we're going to hit our subscriber numbers and suddenly have a bigger problem on our hands than we planned for. But I'm not. I welcome your subscriptions. We look forward to hearing more from you. As always, you can follow me at Langston Kerman. I would love to hear from you there. And I have some dates coming up. If you want to see me live, the October 13th and 14th, you can come to the House of Comedy in New Westminster, British Columbia. I'm going to be up in Canada doing shit.
Ooh, hip hip cheerio.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I always say.
Throw another strip on the Barbie.
And then October 20th and 21st, I'll be at Dead Crow Comedy in Wilmington, North Carolina. We're making up that date. So if you live in Wilmington, I would love for you to still come out if you didn't obviously, if we didn't see each other last time. And then November 10th and 11th, I'll be in Burlington, Vermont at the Vermont Comedy Club. And then finally, November 17th and 18th, I'll be in Dallas at Hyenas Comedy Nightclub. And any of those dates, I don't know, follow my Instagram. I'll be updating them and telling y'all about them shits more frequently than I've been telling y'all about them shit. So check it out. And as always, if you want to tell us your own conspiracies, if you want to send us drops, if you want to explain where, in fact, white people actually are from so that we can put an end to calling you motherfuckers aliens, feel free to send it all to mymommapod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And that is the whole shebang.
Hey.
Bye, bitch.
So that's how they get you.